Welcome to After the Bell with your host, Lauren Cranmer. In tonight's episode, I am talking to Marina Blackford. She is a two-time breast cancer survivor, and she's also a YouTuber that gives back to her community. She posts tips and tricks and real-life stories to help cancer patients and survivors through their journeys. Tonight, we talk about all the things from her story, sharing her story, and also going through such an intense experience. She is the definition of paying it forward, so I really wanted to talk to her and kind of dive deep into her mindset behind wanting to share and provide all this for people going through this, because it is not an easy feat, and her story post-cancer is an amazing one. So I'm excited to share that with you, and I hope you guys enjoy. Here's Marina.
Welcome, Marina. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here. I invited you here because I was just always so inspired by what you've put out on the internet and what you want to give back to your community. So I really want to just dive right in there. So for people who might not know who you are, a little bit of your backstory, just give us a little rundown of who you are, who Marina is as a person.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Because I feel like it's changing every week still. But I just celebrated turning 40, and I wanted to mention that because, yes, welcome to the 40 Club. I want to mention that because turning 40, I've already had breast cancer twice, unfortunately. And it's led me to where I need to be. And that is so strange to say that, but I am a breast cancer survivor and I wanted to help others. So I started a YouTube channel to help people through their treatment, to kind of see the light. And I've been doing that for almost 4 years. I work as a dental hygienist and I raise my family of 2 kids. So that's Marina
So you've
Blackford.
always kind of wanted to help people with your being a dental hygienist, and now you've taken this. I'm always inspired by people who are able to make something out of such a, something that could be so negative. And there's actually a quote I love, and I wanted to share it with you because I think you'd love it. It's, "I love when people that have been through hell walk out of the flames carrying buckets of water for those still consumed by the fire."
Oh, I do love that one.
And
Yeah.
I feel like I resonate with that, but I feel like I see that in you from what you've provided for the cancer community. And I just kind of want to understand a little bit of how you made that decision, because it's not an easy decision to share and to get your story out there and put yourself out there like that, especially after such, something that causes such a mental, struggle. So how did you decide to do this?
Yes. Oh, I love all of that. First of all, I love that quote. I feel like these discussions, it's therapy for me. It almost, it makes me want to cry happy tears all the time. So to think that I could carry even a little bit of water for anybody else, it's great.
You do. You absolutely do.
Thank you. What made me want to? I think it was just, it's funny. I've been doing a lot of soul searching recently because I put so much energy into doing this stuff, and I have to do soul searching to make sure I'm still in line, with what I want to do. And I guess it was just, it was obviously there's the need. There's unfortunately a lot of people being diagnosed with cancer. And so I would have a lot of people reach out and say, how did you do it so well? But the second part of that, to answer for you, is I just don't know how to be any other way. This is who I am. I am an open book. And maybe it's the dental hygienist in me, the chatty Cathy in me, but I love talking with people to help put them at ease. And so being a dental hygienist, I've had to do that for many years. I've been doing that for almost 16 years. And people are in this space. They don't love coming to the dentist. They're nervous. And if I can talk to them about their day and put them at ease, like I've made a difference almost more than cleaning their teeth. So when I had the opportunity to share my information, help others on their cancer journey, it just felt natural. Like there was the need and I can do this, and YouTube allows anybody to do it. So, I just took the time to learn and grow and go from there.
Now, did you start doing all of that, like sharing on YouTube with your first round of cancer, or did you do it after you experienced that?
Yeah, no, well, I was diagnosed with breast cancer the first time at 31, and I was like a lot of people. I just had Facebook, really, and I just had my community there of family and friends. And I shared that on Facebook because at the time I had so many, like some social things I was doing. I was volunteering with a group that helped group home kids. I had a running club. I had my job. I had just a lot of social people. And I thought, I'm about to go through cancer treatment. And I didn't want to have to tell my story over and over and over again every time I was going to see people because I knew I'd be losing my hair. Like I just knew there would be a lot going on. And it was just going to be easiest for me to put it on Facebook, which is what I did. I said, I more so put it on there to say, even don't feel sorry for me, just, root for me, pray for me, whatever you do, send it my way. And so that's how I started the first journey. And then that's how people saw what I was doing, still trying to run and live life during cancer. That led me to people reaching out later, for their loved ones. Like, how did you do that? So then once I started the YouTube channel and kind of got that down and put information out, I would be diagnosed again. And so that's when the new journey began of vlogging and sharing more on YouTube.
That is so wild. I feel like,
Yeah.
not to be like straightforward, like that is every cancer patient's fear, is having it come back. And
Yes.
you're BRCA positive, if I remember.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So it came back. How did you take us there a little bit? And like, how did that happen? What was your mindset? And like, how did you proceed forward with doing what you do? Because I that's got to be such a heavy task.
Yes, it was heavy. It was well, there's so much to my story, like all of us. But I am BRCA1 positive, so that's the breast cancer genetic mutation on that gene, right? That puts anybody that's positive for that at high risk for breast cancer and ovarian. So there's that. So I knew of that. So people are often like, well, did you not have all your breast tissue removed? Well, I did. I did have a double or bilateral mastectomy done. But prior to all of this, my mother is also BRCA positive, and she had breast cancer twice by the time I was diagnosed the first time. So being told I had it again, it was absolutely shocking. Yes, it was, because I had removed all my breast tissue. I knew that I needed to do that because I didn't want to be in my mother's shoes and be told again. I don't know how to describe it. 2020 was a crazy year because it was also during the pandemic. I had also just had my second child, like newborn, and I was told this. I think I was blessed with the ability to just always rein it in. I think because that's what anxiety is, right? It's just taking us like way into the future, and then we start to spiral. And I just always had to like bring it back. What's the next thing? And I had to do that because I was a mom to young kids, and it's like one day at a time, whether you're a cancer patient, whether you're a mom sometimes. So I guess that's what saved me. I have a video on my YouTube, I should go back and watch it, of that emotional diagnosis. I actually shared sitting in the car, getting the call that I needed to come back to the cancer center. So it's unreal for me sometimes too. I think I just got through it like one day at a time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard to even go back and think that of all you've been through, because I feel that for myself. It's sometimes I sit there, I'm like, wow,
Yes.
How am I
Yes.
here today?
And that's
just
why
living
I
life,
carry the torch forward. Yeah. That's why you're doing what you're doing here after the bell. And that's why I think am doing what I'm doing, because I think a lot of the emotions came after the fact, right? And I always say I don't want to scare people in that sense, but I think that's the time that we actually sit and process like,
Yeah.
whoa, I went through a lot. That was like, oftentimes I think you're just getting through it because you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just putting your head down and like powering through treatment. And then it all comes to this halt of now what? And like how you're
Yes.
processing everything. And that actually, so you had treatment and then had treatment again. So how is the treatment different from the first time and the second time that you went through everything?
I stayed at the same cancer center and with my same oncologist. So that is helpful. They have all my history and I trust them. It was different the first time that I had breast cancer because I did do the ANC chemo, the age.
Okay, so you had, wow. And both times you just powered through chemo and then continued to share your story. And how have you noticed, how has doing what you're doing, sharing, has helped you personally? Because I know part of it is like a healing, at least for me. I feel like it's hard to determine what you want to actually put out there, but some of it's healing in the sense of like being able to put that to use.
Yes. So sharing your story, again, it might not look like, a podcast, or it might not look like a YouTube live like I do. But I think there is a way that all of us can reflect on our story. And I think it's important. I think whether it's walking in nature or finding something that just makes you feel alive, because I remember someone saying, that they didn't want cancer to change them. And I felt that way at one point too. But then when you stop and think about it, it's like, how could something that big not change you? So I think if people can find a way to process that and share with others that have gone through it, it's very healing.
Yeah, I feel like, some people don't even want to talk about it, which is fine. And some people want to give back and help and have it be a purpose. But I also feel like I struggle with that a little bit because I feel like I'm open. And then sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if I want my being to be associated with cancer, but then I also feel like I want to have a purpose through everything. It's right for you in that moment, and that like whatever you're living in that moment, I think. So it doesn't have to be the same as it was on Tuesday as it is today. I think that's an important part to mention where, you could do one thing one day and then change your mind, and that's okay. You don't have to commit to that, and cancer.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I think cancer allows you to realize that, one day at a time, right?
Yes. I feel that way. I mean, yeah, I definitely feel that way. It's part of it, being such an open book, because like you said, sometimes you need a mental break from it. I try to just know when it's a good time for me to like go in and check all the YouTube comments or whatever. Yeah, I totally agree. I agree. It's like part of me, I just want to move on from it, but I see the impact of helping others. So I'm finding that balance myself too. Yes.
Are you, and now you're coaching now, you're having
Yes.
Beyond Cancer coaching. Is that what the official name is?
That's right. Yes, I am.
And you have, so you're just doing these one-on-one coaches with cancer patients, helping them through their journey, or is there any specific way that you navigate your coaching sessions?
Yes. Right now, it's really meeting people where they're at, so I usually connect with somebody, and it's helpful in the sense of it's a lot of just, again, meeting them where they're at, kind of listening to what their need is. So I have a client that just, it's been very helpful for her because she's reached out, at the end of chemo, and then knows she's going to have surgery coming up. So we chat before that, so we can kind of make sure that all her questions are being heard and answered, so I'm just kind of that advocate. And I guess my example for what I'm doing right now is when I had my first child, my son, I went to the hospital. I don't know. Do you have kids by chance?
Yes, I have two.
You have two. So I went to the hospital and I was like, I've never done this. I'm going to take the hospital class. And I took the class, which was very informative, but I left there feeling like the opposite of peaceful. I was like, I had no idea how many stages there were to labor. Like, I just thought my water would break. In like the movies, I would just show up and a baby would be born. But they're like, oh no. So me with my running background, running marathons, I'm like, I need to be more prepared for this. So I found a hypnobirthing class, and then I found a doula, and her energy was amazing. So I hired a doula to help me through my son's birth. And I'm so happy she was there because I ended up in C-section, just totally went the opposite of what I wanted. And so that is the role I'm playing for people on their cancer journey right now, is feeling like I'm their cancer doula, but just kind of holding their hand through it and just making sure they're asking their questions and that they feel like they're being heard. And so I don't want to provide specific medical advice because I'm not a doctor, but I'm just helping people even find their own voice through their journey.
That's such a good way to put it when comparing it to what you went through with your doula, because I think some people misunderstand the idea of a cancer coach. They think it's just this like person trying to make money off of cancer patients, but no, it's this like giving back mechanism and being this support system for such a lonely portion of your life, that even if you have an abundant amount of support, family, friends, all these things, someone who's been there and can be your just this like vulnerable, like meet you where you are. I think it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm inspired by the fact that you are doing this, because I'm sure that could bring up emotions for you as well, right? Speaking to people going through what you've been through, and kind of, you really have to have resilience to do this.
Yeah. Even I'm stepping into it now as kind of a new role, and I've had a couple of clients, and, my husband is so supportive. And so I kind of talked to him about my role and how I'm doing this. And so, yeah, it is that. So far it's been fine. So far it hasn't been, well, unfortunately I lost like my personal friend last year. So that was hard for me. And so I haven't had to coach somebody, thank you, through that level. But that's why I'm expanding a little bit of it now, I think too, because I'm like, how do I really get to the root of helping others? And I think it's more than me telling people what to eat. It's more than me telling people any of that. It's more of a mindset thing. And so, so far it's going really good. So far, the clients that I've been able to help, it feels like they've come to me at the right time, and I've helped them, just kind of get unstuck in a way with all the information overload that's thrown at cancer patients.
I love that.
So, yeah.
It's so needed. So a little bit off topic, but I heard you before talk about marathons, and I'd love to pick your brain about it, because I think I remember seeing that you had just qualified, right, for Boston Marathon. And that is that something you do you've done? You've run like a ton of marathons previous to all of what you've done?
Oh my gosh. This has been fun to reflect on too. So something else that I've been doing since starting this whole YouTube and cancer coach is being able to speak. So upcoming in May, I'm a presenter at the Hike Like a Woman virtual summit. And awesome. So and it's so neat. So small world too. It's like that. The woman that runs that found me on YouTube when she was diagnosed and was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe you went for a walk after chemo. And it really resonated with her. So she does a group called Hike Like a Woman, where she supports her community with getting women outside, and they have in person and they have virtual. So I'm writing a presentation on living an empowered life. And in any ways, a lot of this brings me back to the running is the point, because the running is what really helped me get through my journey. And reflecting on it, as a runner, I said I would never run a marathon is what I'm getting full circle back to. I was like, I'm never running a marathon. That sounds awful. That's really far, and for why? But I was at a point in my life, this is before kids, because I just don't feel like I have the energy right now, but before kids, and I had time, I was like, oh, I'm going to run some of these. And so I did do a half marathon with a friend, and my time was good. And so I continued to do about 2 of those a year. And then at some point I was like, all right, I'll do the marathon just to like cross it off the bucket list. And I did it. And I also had a decent time for a runner. So then I was like, well, maybe I'll just try to get to Boston then. So running for a marathon is a lot of work.
Gold,
Yeah, I was like, well, it was under 4 hours. That's really a respectable marathon. So I thought, well, let's just try. So I did it the next year, and I was 5 minutes from qualifying. So that was a bummer. So I was like, well, I can do that. So then the following year is when I I told, it was like manifesting. Like I swear my training did not go better. I got sick in the middle of training because you have to run through winter here in Arizona to run the races. And but the secret was that I told everybody. I was like, I am going to qualify for Boston. Like, go ahead, show up. I'm going to do it. And so I qualified through grit. And that's when I qualified. And that, unfortunately, is when I had everything going on, genetic testing, my first mammogram. And they said, you have to, you need to come back for a biopsy. And I was like, well, I have this marathon next week. So I went from qualifying for the Boston, which took 3 years, 3 marathons, and then being told I needed to start chemo immediately. So it
So wild.
it turned my world upside down. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, of course. I think that speaks to you. I love how you reflect on that, because I think that speaks to your ability to, like, first of all, you ran a marathon. You're like, I think, what is it? Isn't it like 1% of people run marathons, I think, or something?
Ooh,
like that?
is it? That's cool.
It's a very small percentage of people that actually run marathons.
Why would you really?
Yes.
If you don't have kids and you're bored, no.
And then you chose to do it again because you just wanted, you saw that like you were this close.
Yeah.
And then, and then you wanted to qualify for a really solid marathon. That's a well-known. Yes. Yeah. So I think that I think that prepped you in a way to know your capabilities, and on another level, of course, but that is huge. Do you have any, are you going to continue doing this post all of your motherhood, cancer? All that stuff?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. Cause I feel like I've told myself I would do a half marathon this year, and I've been really nervous to just commit to it. And I feel like I should. I would like to do one more because, well, I don't know if it'll be one more marathon, but I told myself I want to run in New York City, and I'd love to run the marathon in New York City. So it's just doing it again. It's kind of like, it's like doing a cold plunge. Like, I don't know how people just step into a cold plunge every day. Like, once you've done it, you're like, I don't know if I really want to do it. But I'd like to ease back into it. I've just been, unfortunately, on such a different track since qualifying. I mean, it started a whole new journey of needing to do chemo and, removing my breasts and reconstruction, and then everything. And then my husband and I got engaged. He was at the marathon that I qualified for Boston, right? We were like newly dating, and he was there. So
that's cute.
Yeah. So I would like to do it. I would love to run New York City. I will do it.
Let the kids grow up a little bit first. How old are they again?
They're 5 and 3.
Okay. Yeah. My son is 5 and my daughter is 2. So I understand.
It's hard in motherhood to say like when I have energy, because I might not for like 18 years. So you just have to make it happen somehow if you really want it.
Now that's so you had just had your daughter, was it before your second round? Now that's so intense. I actually went through my cancer treatment when I was pregnant, and I had my daughter. Oh
yes, I did see this.
After.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember like having to navigate with my son while I was going through it. And I feel like with my daughter, I had the ability to focus on her and her birth to kind of get me to that finish line. So how did you, just having a new baby, like get through it? Like, were you just having to take care of one child, let alone 2, and a young child?
I know.
How did you, as a mom, navigate that for the mothers going through it all?
What I became really good at the first time without kids was delegating, was accepting help. I just don't think a lot of us, it's natural to accept help. It's really not if you are an independent person, like you have a job, and you, right? And you buy any kind of groceries. I don't know. It's just like, no, like we haven't accepted help on a lot of levels. And then I became very comfortable with allowing help. And so that's probably the only way I could have gotten through having cancer the second time and keep my sanity and raise my kids is that my husband was willing to help when he could, right? He works a lot. Thank goodness, because cancer costs a lot. And grandparents, my parents and my in-laws. So it was just a village. It truly was a village. So if
I'm so glad you
you
brought
need
that
it when
up.
you have kids, yeah, they say it takes a village, right? I mean, whether you have kids,
Yeah.
but it takes a village probably just to help yourself, even if you didn't have kids through cancer treatment.
I think more people are in that category of not knowing how to accept help, right? I fell into that category. So did my husband. And in hindsight, I think I could have definitely accepted more. It's such an important part, I think, of going through treatment and cancer and all those things is letting go of the reins a little bit. And it's okay. It's okay to verbalize that to people and or just say yes, or it's okay to do those things. And I think in the long run it's going to benefit you, so don't be afraid to do those things, because it takes the load off. It really does. And I think I had too much pride for sure. And so I'm glad that you were able to see that between the two different scenarios, because that's huge.
Yeah, definitely. It's like accept the help and don't worry. It comes full circle in life. I think if somebody helps you, there will be an opportunity for you to pay it back to someone else. So it's not like we're helpless, like there'll be an opportunity for you to help others when it's your season.
That's so true. Did you have a specific way that people helped you that you preferred? Because I know that it's such like a hot topic in the cancer world. So like how people help you, like did you ask for help, or were people just offering help to you? Like what was your way of accepting it?
Yeah, it varied a lot. So I feel like the food, right? I mean, I like to eat generally healthy, but if people were offering to bring food, I would accept. That was probably a big one because that was really nice to not have to grocery shop and meal plan and cook and clean. So I think food, and people often would ask too, do you have preferences like a certain kind of meat or no meat? So people were very considerate of that. So that was really nice. The first time, again, this was pre-pandemic, I often had people come with me to my appointments sometimes, and that was really nice too. So now, I mean, people could, but even if you almost like scheduled like, hey, will you be my text buddy during chemo, or you know what I mean? Something like that. I just think it kind of keeps you lifted and not, because when you're in the cancer center, and you know this, Lauren, like when you're in there, and it's not the brightest place. Like, well, I mean, they try, right, with windows, but I mean, emotionally, it is not the brightest place. Like it's kind of down, and it's a lot of older people, and you can get really caught up in that and almost carry that with you leaving there. So it's really helpful if somebody wants to like either come with you or phone, just chat with you during chemo somehow in some form.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like you're smacked in the face. You can't avoid it when you're there. Like it's right in front of your face. So you have to find ways to, navigate that. And I think talking to someone or having a buddy, even if they're not in person, is huge. I wasn't able to have anybody come. We weren't allowed at the time.
No, I know.
But
same.
But thank God for the internet, right?
Yeah. And that's, I think, where I found, again, kind of like I was able to do all the YouTube stuff then, because I would do a lot of my editing while I was there during chemo, and then chat with my nurses. Actually, the second time going through chemo with young kids like yourself, I kind of viewed it as a break, to be honest. I was like, I would not be sitting at home right now, so I might as well just put my feet up literally right now, just take the break.
Embrace it. Yes. Why not think of it that way? It's, yes, you have to be there. It's a horrible thing, but you got time to sit and you could focus on the relaxation and the positive side of it. And I love that. So also being BRCA1, did you have you found that out with testing, or did you know that because of your mother?
I found it out with testing.
The whole cancer. Okay.
I found out with testing. So she was diagnosed with breast cancer the first time at 41. So the rule of thumb that they told her was to have myself and my sister go at the age of 31 to get genetic testing and our first mammogram done.
And
Unfortunately,
what was
well,
that for
fortunately
you?
and
Oh,
unfortunately,
yeah.
it would coincide with being diagnosed.
Okay, so you found that out before you were diagnosed?
It was at the same time because I did
Oh, same
the
time.
genetic
Okay.
testing, and that was out to the labs when I would have the mammogram, and that didn't look good. So
Oh, wow.
then
Oh
we
my
had a
gosh.
pathology, and we were literally just waiting for the genetic testing result because that was going to influence my treatment plan, right? So I had to
Yeah.
call the lab and say, "Hey, we need to know because I've been diagnosed." So yeah, it was all at the
Oh
same
my
time.
gosh. Because of that, what's your, does that change your treatment going forward? Like, what are you going through now with your treatment? Like, what is your routine?
Yes. Going forward, well, I mean, I've had the surgery, right? So we've minimized risk with that to remove breast tissue. And then now having had cancer twice, I'm just screened fairly often, about every 3 months, and I've just moved to 4. Screenings are talking to my oncologist or a nurse practitioner about any new symptoms. I'm on a yearly MRI right now, so I'll have that again this month. Um, we don't overscan, and we definitely don't do mammograms because that would be radiation that I wouldn't want, but my cancer center doesn't do that. Um, so a yearly MRI. And then there's no medication right now since I was triple negative. There's not
Okay.
a medication I'm taking to suppress hormones. Also, because I decided to do my full hysterectomy and ovary removal to minimize my ovarian cancer risk. So I've done that. So really right now it's lifestyle and seeing my oncology team.
Now you're doing the MRI, which yearly. How do you deal with the scans coming up? You have one coming up now. How are you feeling?
Good. I feel good. I don't like doing MRIs, but that's okay. But I don't have anxiety about them finding something. I guess like I said earlier, I just come back to the present. I'm like, I know I feel good, and this is just making sure, that everything is the same. I just let it go. I just come back to the moment.
I love that. Good
Doing the
for
MRI
you.
itself, yeah, doing the MRI itself is uncomfortable because it's loud and hot, and that is what it is. So you just deal with that one when you're there.
And do you do the ctDNA blood work as well? Because
I have,
I recently had
yeah,
that done.
yeah,
You
yeah.
did?
I did
How
start to
does
do
that?
that.
Did you get results yet?
Yes, it took a little longer than anticipated. I feel like it was more like 3 to 4 weeks, and I've had it done twice, and I'm scheduled to do it again the end of this month. So that's that residual disease test that's looking for heightened cancer cells. I think it's pretty new, right? That it's being offered.
Mm.
I love the idea of it. I think a lot of oncology. I mean, my mom asked her oncology team about it, and they didn't want to increase her anxiety, so right now they're just doing different protocol and not doing that. So I think it's everybody has to really consider like why you would do it and how you would feel about
It took me, yeah, my oncologist brought it up to me. Not the Signatera. There's something other called Guardant Reveal is the one I did,
it.
but it
Okay.
took me like three to 4 months to actually decide on what I wanted
Yes.
to do because I wasn't
Yes.
sure how I would put the result in my, like if it was a positive result or even a negative, like what would I feel? And I wasn't sure. So I just kind of pushed it off until I committed to the decision that it wouldn't change how I feel because I already
Yeah.
am aware of the reoccurrence risk and all those things. So I think that's what made me ultimately commit to doing it. So yeah, we're doing it every 6 months now.
Yes. Yeah, I think exactly. That's like it's when this stuff's available, everybody has to kind of figure out what's going to be best for you. Is it going to really help you or make you feel worse? And it did help me because I was having like a unusual ache at the time. And I thought, well, this could give me some peace of mind that that's not something to worry about. And it did give me peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many There's so many aches and pains, like, especially as we age, right? And
I
then
know.
just going through everything we've been through, like,
Yeah.
how do you not, how do you stop your brain from going to these places of what is that for? Like,
Yeah.
why are we having this ache?
Yeah.
So,
It's so
I'm
bad.
glad you were
Anybody that
able
hasn't
to.
had cancer, it's like a Tuesday. And for us, it's like doomsday, It's like, oh, I didn't notice that yesterday,
I know.
but
I
yeah.
had this like it's so funny. Like I make fun of myself because I'll have these like random things. I feel I'm like I go to the Google go to the internet and start googling things. I'm like, what are you doing, Lauren? Stop, like
Don't do it.
relax. Like take a step back here.
Don't do it.
So now where you are, you're doing awesome things, helping people. Would you say your diet, lifestyle, all those things were different prior to than after going through everything?
My diet lifestyle was definitely different prior to my first diagnosis. I mean, again, I had a variety, but probably not as many vegetables as I could then at all. And then I wasn't always good at taking vitamins then either. And then I realized the importance of that, that vitamins can be good, if you get good quality vitamins, they can help you. So I added that in. And then, and then leading into my second diagnosis, again, I think I had to reevaluate if I was getting enough like vegetables and fruit and fiber. So I also shop organic. That's been something I've been into for a while. So it's kind of, and that's just trying to lower, exposure to toxins kind of thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm not vegan. I have the knowledge of holistic cancer coaching because I did get certified in that.
Oh,
So I can see the influence of diet. Um, but I'm also not one to tell people like I'm not, I'd be lying if I said I healed myself with vegetables. Because I
right.
didn't.
Right.
So it's more so like what's going to work for your lifestyle? Like what can we change that could be better?
Like
I
little
kind of look at it that
tweaks.
way, even for
Yeah.
myself.
I feel like I thought I was healthy prior to everything, but I definitely have tightened up on adding the veggies, reducing some toxins, things like that. So, did you change anything like in your household in terms of toxins that you, after going through all this, that you kind of reduce that load for your body?
Yes. Well, before my first diagnosis at 30, I switched all of my skincare to better products. So I started using skincare that was paraben free, mineral oil free, fragrance free, unless it was like, essential oil scented. So I had made that switch the first time, before being diagnosed the first time. And that's something I still do to this day. And that's important to me. So there's that. And then the food aspect, again, it was just trying to integrate more variety into our meals. I was running out of ideas. So I started doing meal kit delivery, and they send organic produce, cauliflower, kale, just stuff I wasn't using a lot and didn't know what to do with, but the meal kits made it easy. And so I've introduced that. And those are powerhouse foods, by the way, cauliflower, kale for anti-cancer. So introducing some of that too.
Now, you said you don't try to incorporate any kind of diet discussions with your clients, or is that something that you kind of just take it as they ask?
I take it as they ask. Yeah, I'm available for that because I have the knowledge from my program. So I take it as they ask. And some people want to know. I mean, I think people want to know it more on my YouTube live community. They're like, tell me what to eat. And I try to throw ideas out there, but it really should be tailored for people because there are certain foods that can help people more with certain types of cancers. And again, it's people, what are people's ability to shop and cook food for themselves? That needs to be considered too.
That's absolutely true. I think it's also a touchy subject as well because some people,
Oh my gosh, yes.
there's food is when the diets are being forced and all those things, and
it's a religion to people, I'm finding.
Yes.
Like I'm serious. Like you share something and social media is so interesting. And I feel like people can attack you on your food opinions. So that's why it's a
Yeah.
little hard unless you stand very strong in your food beliefs. Like you have to be able to defend it because it's like politics to people,
I know.
like
It
how they
really is.
eat.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's sad because I feel like, especially in this community, there's not saying one diet fits all, like fixes all and does all, but there's so much that food it can do for you. Whatever that you choose to have it be, your diet wise. But I also think that eating, incorporating more veggies and just like more of those healthy aspects of your diet gives you control, almost gives you a little bit more power of saying, I'm doing this to kind of combat the negatives that potentially could be cancer kind of thing. And for me, that and exercise, where it was such a powerful mechanism for my
Mhm.
mindset. So diets aside, fad diets aside, I think just allowing some healthy choices and things like that in your diet.
Yes, and it helps in that trickle sense too. It's like when you start to slowly remove things from your diet that were not good and add it in, you start to feel better and you start to move in that direction.
Absolutely. If you could, so just to wrap things up, why don't you just give us a little, tell everybody where they could find you, or, where they could look for you.
Yes, there's a virtual summit, Hike Like a Woman, and I'll be presenting on that. So you can find that online. And you can follow my Instagram at Beyond Cancer Coach.
Guys, Marina has some amazing content on her YouTube channel. I highly suggest you check it out. Again, I will leave all her information in the show notes if you want to reach out to her. And other than that, I really appreciate you being here, Marina. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.